Right.
We're back in nature.
We're back. Isaac, welcome back. And everyone, welcome back for our 40th episode of Stickscast.
Yeah.
This
Big one. Big 4-0.
Big 4-0. We're doing this one in a park and in person.
Yeah.
I hope the microphones maybe get the ambiance, but because our microphones should be shitty enough that it wouldn't be just getting us.
Right. I can hear a truck, and I can see a truck too. But beautiful day to talk about murders in South Korea.
Okay, not speaking of which, for one of the... I have two things. Okay, so for the one speaking of which, Isaac, I was thinking about it. First, what are your thoughts on Bradley Cooper?
Big fan of Bradley Cooper.
Okay,
that's what I thought. It's actually really funny. I should show you. I don't think I've showed you this. All of my playlists on Spotify, their title card is just images of Bradley Cooper during The Hangover based on the vibe.
Okay, that makes sense.
Big fan. Of
Bradley. That's how I was he's in that sphere, right, of the Jake Gyllenhaal, right, which it makes sense.
Yes.
So
male manipulator, white men. Yes.
So, I now, speaking of serial killers, right?
Okay.
I feel like if you were a serial killer, right? Because you know how they all have their own specific target and whatnot.
Yeah, it would just be white men.
Yeah, it would be white men that just.
Dude, that's probably right. Yeah.
So it would be Jake Gyllenhaal,
Bradley Cooper. Oh my God, what's the guy who I want to play Jesus? Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. Yeah. They fit in all this same sphere. Would Miles Teller fit in that, or is that?
I think Miles Teller is close. I think Liam Neeson 10 years ago. And then Taron Egerton, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, Taron Egerton.
Chris Hemsworth, yeah.
Yeah.
Just all the big famous white men, basically. Yeah, I think that's a really good profile you got going. You should work for the FBI.
I was thinking about that. I was like, damn, that would be you could stand out. I don't think that's been a thing yet, right? Most serial killers, it's women, right, or boys, minorities.
Who played American Psycho? Fuck.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale. Thank you. I'd get him.
Have you seen what Christian Bale looks like now? He's kind of an old man.
Yeah, it would be a little. It would be.
That
tricky.
would be kind of or not ableist, but what's the word?
Maybe Christian Bale 10 years ago. Same category as Liam Neeson, really.
Yeah.
I would get oh my God. I don't know why I can't name all of these names. He was the guy who played himself in The Massive Weight and Unbearable. Nicolas Cage. I would get Nicolas Cage.
I feel like he'd be your ultimate boss.
Probably.
Right?
Nicolas Cage would probably be the one who ends up killing me. So.
Yeah, that's true. Oh.
But yeah, how about you? Who do you think your villains would be? Not villains, but victims.
My victims?
Yeah, definitely not villains. That's a whole nother level of victim blaming.
I'll be... This joke, you have to take very take very close steps because it could just turn south really quickly with a bit.
Yeah, killing a certain group of people.
Yeah.
It's a very delicate. Yeah,
it's very delicate.
It's a very delicate situation. Yeah.
Group of people. Right now, only because they piss me off the most, I would probably kill off anyone in the Houston Rockets organization.
Why don't you like Houston?
I fucking hate them. I hate that organization. It sucks ass.
You just sound like Charles Barkley right now.
No, because it's just first they're the lamest Texas team, right? Because the Spurs have class,
They have Greg. Yeah.
All right, they've got a culture.
Okay.
Right. The Mavericks.
Dirk.
Yeah, Dirk.
They're the American European team.
Right. Rockets.
Okay, but just saying that every state with multiple, franchises in a single sport, they're going to have a worse team. Who's the worst California team? Probably, the Kings, right?
Yeah, but the Kings, they're so bad, it's kind of cute.
Well, not this year, but yeah.
And then, in addition, right, the Houston's best player throughout this time has been, James Harden, who's just one of the lamest superstars in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So, and especially when he was goated on the Rockets, he just flopped all the time, take free throws.
Really toxic for the organization, too.
Exactly.
And it's, for me, specifically, I'm a big believer that it's just, the player should come first instead of the organization. Mm-hmm. And James Harden is, the one player that's, if I was the organization, I would, kill myself if he was on my team.
Yeah.
Because he is the one, I don't know how, much you read into it. I read into it because I'm a big Russell Westbrook fan, Oh, and so, obviously, I followed the whole Rockets saga when he was there for a year. James Harden was like one of the worst players you could have had playing for you.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And then I love it. He gets. I mean, Doc Rivers isn't really that good a coach, but like low key, they definitely got the coach fired, and he's like, okay, now I want to leave teams and go back to Houston. And Houston's like, oh, come back. It's like, of course. Yeah. And I don't like the current team now. I hate it.
You don't like the current team?
No, I fucking hate Jalen Green and whatever. They are pinnacle of, they do like the highlight, shoot, me basketball, and then suck ass. Like, that's their whole thing. And the fact, I would have been heartbroken if they got Wembanyama. Like, that would have been, imagine how much that would have hurt the league if Wembanyama went to the fucking Rockets.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like Kevin Porter Jr. I don't have any issues with Jalen Green. I actually like him a bit. Other than them, though, honestly, not a big fan of the franchise. You're right.
Yeah. No, and they just remind me of like the Hornets, where they get LaMelo, right, and they have like the highlights, and then they just suck ass. Yeah. It's all this. It's social media basketball. Yeah. But that being said, I mean, I don't fucking play basketball, so I'm not saying they're scrubs, but I'm still gonna hate on them.
No, of course. I mean, say what you got to say. I'm a 5'11" Jewish boy. Yeah. Like, that's way out of my dreams.
We're doing a movie podcast
in a park.
A park. So we'll keep that in mind. I have the humility.
Listen, I'm not saying I could do better. I'm just a hater, and I'm proud of that.
That's part of sports, you know. So, exactly.
They get paid a lot, and we pay a lot, so we can be haters without having any talent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all part of the system. Okay, and then one big thing for you. I was going on Instagram, and I think this might be the first, hopefully the last, correction I'll make from a previous Stickscast take. I think I might have been a little too harsh on Bullet Train. Just a bit. I was just watching clips, and the movie, it was kind of fun. Like, it sounded like I was rewatching a movie. It was literally just a clip. I may have been a little harsh on the movie. In retrospect.
No, I'm glad. I think that you should be thankful that you're doing this in a public forum. Because if we were, like, recording just, like, at my place or something, I would, like, beat the shit out of you. Mm-hmm. But no, I'm glad you finally seen the light. I'm glad you finally seen the light. But figuratively and literally.
Yeah, I'm literally,
You should rewatch it, though. It's a fun... I'm glowing, Nils. That's how happy I am.
I completely, because the sun, in real life, it's not even that bright, but your camera is...
I'm just wearing a bright shirt, and I'm pale as shit, but that's different,
No,
and then it's the sunglasses because they're dark, Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad. You should rewatch it, though. It's a really good rewatch.
Okay, I don't know.
Has Aaliyah seen it?
Yes, she has. I feel like that's the one movie she has seen without me in the past year.
Without you?
Yeah. Otherwise, she just doesn't really watch
movies in her free time. So she has taste. Okay, good to know.
So, I forgot whether she liked it or not. But... anyways, I was definitely being a bit harsh, so...
I'm glad to see you finally found the light, Nils.
That's on me.
Great movie. Great. Oh, Brad Pitt, too. Yeah, I'd kill him. But, like, it would be like oh, God, what's the... I forget what movie it's from. When, like, the guy with, like, the hat is, like, aiming the gun and he's, like, crying?
The guy with the hat is aiming the gun.
It's
like a Brad Pitt movie?
No, it's a meme image.
Guy with the hat aiming a gun.
It was in the Tony Hawk Race War meme.
What?
Oh, you don't know that?
No, I don't know. Excuse me.
It's this image. Like, that's how I would feel with Brad Pitt. I would feel so bad killing him. But I would have to.
You're wearing the 1960s or 50s trench coat and the full hat. Oh my God. It would literally be you. I'm sorry, Jake Gyllenhaal. You just wear... each time you kill them, you wear each layer of skin for each victim. So it's like Bradley Cooper, Jake Gyllenhaal.
I only take fragments, though, and I make the ultimate white man mask,
Okay.
So, I'd have, like, Leonardo DiCaprio's right cheek, and then probably, like, Brad Pitt's left cheek, Chris Hemsworth's Jake Gyllenhaal's forehead, because that's a dome.
You should do Bradley Cooper's, like, beard.
I could do that. Although he has a good head of hair, too. Mm-hmm. I could just do all hair, Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, that's the thing with... Bradley Cooper, I saw a recent interview, and he got, like, super skinny again. I think he's ultimately lost all of his gains from American Sniper, which is good. Like, he looks good.
Well, because, I mean, he's been doing a lot of big, acting gigs that require a lot of body transformation. Like, he did, I forget what movie it's called. It's going to come out in the next, year or two? Or maybe it already did. It was a while ago. But he did, like, a full body transformation to play some composer.
Bless you.
But he just didn't even look recognizable. He looked like Chevy Chase. But yeah, no, I mean, he's definitely, he didn't do it early in his career with the whole body transformation, but he's definitely getting into that now, which is interesting to see, because he's definitely on the older end too.
Yeah, it feels like he's kind of reverted back to his hangover type build, because I think he peaked in 2018 after Stars Born, right? Where the ultimate, what's the word for that? I forget it. Anyways, but like, now he's back to that,
right?
Which is cool. But it was very interesting seeing that. So,
of course.
Damn. Well, should we go on to the movie now?
Yeah. Although one question.
Yeah.
So, going back to the Houston Rockets, would you, obviously, like, what's the time frame for your victims? Like, for example, would Mike D'Antoni be on the list? Because that was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's mainly James Harden's fault.
Okay.
And overall.
Well, he's the one who's going back, so I get that.
So yeah, it'd be James Harden, Jalen Green, who's the other guy that's on the
Kevin
Rockets?
Porter Jr.
Yeah, Kevin Porter Jr.
Kenyon Martin Jr. They have a lot of juniors.
Yeah.
They also have the tall white guy. I forget that number 28. I don't know his name though.
I'll say him so it doesn't look problematic, because so far I think I've only killed.
Because it doesn't
people.
look problematic. Yeah. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Then the coach from last year. Although I don't blame him. Actually, I'd spare him.
Okay.
And then who's the owner of the Rockets?
I don't know.
Is that guy that? Remember that criticized China and then everything?
No, he was their GM. GM. Now he's the Sixers GM.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's why he got James Harden. No, but I was thinking about it. James Harden is like the abusive ex-boyfriend who broke up with his girlfriend, who are the Rockets, and then he's finally like, okay, I guess I can be with you now, and she's just happily taking him back into her arms. So, not a great dynamic.
Well, and also it's not a great dynamic is South Korea in the 1980s.
That's very true. Yeah. That's very true. Especially in the rural regions.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly what we see in Memories of Murder, directed by. That's
not how you pronounce it.
Yeah. That'd be so fucked up if you say like complete gibberish. Yeah. That was a really good joke.
Thanks. I tried really hard.
Yeah. So directed by Bong Joon-ho in 2003. The Worst of Them Will Stay With You Forever. 1986, Gyeonggi Province. The body of a young woman is found brutally raped and murdered. 2 months later, a series of rapes and murders commences under similar circumstances. And in a country that had never known such crimes, the dark whispers about a serial murderer grow louder. A special task force is set up in the area with 2 local detectives, Park Do-man and Jo Young-gu, joined by a detective from Seoul, who requested to be assigned to the case. Isaac, what did you think of Memories of Murder? I also really quick, I do think it's really funny. We're talking about like a movie about a serial murderer just in the middle of a park. I do think that's somewhat fitting in a way, but
well, it's just about a normal guy, But yeah, so this has been on my list for.
The squirrel's trying to get in my backpack.
Shut up. That squirrel's gonna get eaten by that border collie up there. But is that a border collie? I don't know. I'm not a dog person. So yeah. I've been meaning to watch this for a while. It came out in 2003. It's based in 1986. Okay. Late 80s.
Yeah.
I think it goes until 1991.
Oh.
That dog is good.
He went for it.
No, I mean, really interesting. I haven't seen I know that you compared it a lot to like Zodiac, for example. I knew nothing about this movie going in. I had just read a little bit about it. Obviously, the directors are very well known with Parasite. A lot of the cast also involved. It was really, I really liked it. I thought it was really interesting. I don't watch a lot of like these like true crime kind of. It's not necessarily, it's not really like a documentary, but it's more of
it's kind
drama
of like a
documentary,
nonfiction.
Thing,
Yeah.
It's definitely nonfiction, but it's like based on a true story. It's not telling the exact story.
Yeah.
It's a dramatization. That's the word. But
Nice.
yeah, so I really liked it. I'm obviously very critically acclaimed director, right?
Mm-hmm.
Won an Oscar or two. Cast amazing. I also think that just like for me personally, I don't really see a lot of the like, for example, for true crime type movies, I don't see a lot of them based in like really rural settings, especially in rural like Korea, right? And I think that was definitely a different I guess dynamic than what I'm used to.
That's true.
Especially based in like the late 80s, early 90s. So I thought that was really interesting to see. Basically there were a lot of reasons I really wanted to see the movie, and they all kind of came together in a really solid way, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, what did you think?
Well, really quick, I feel like most serial murderer stuff is from the 80s and is in like a suburb environment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I can't think of many where it's a city, urban setting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, at least the ones I think of, it's always like a suburb. So, but yeah, this one is much more in a rural setting. But and also, so what other Bong Joon-ho films have you seen?
Oh, just this and Parasite, actually.
Oh, okay. Which one do you like more?
Honestly, I like this one more. I
Yeah.
think, I mean, obviously they're two really great movies, but I just think kind of like this one was more, I mean, and obviously this is like, it's an important theme to incorporate, so it's purely personal preference, it's not quality-based. It's just, I really liked just the way that he, I guess, interacted, or made his actors interact with their environment, because I just think, like, obviously with Parasite, it's super urban, and it's super, like, the entire point of the film is that it's supposed to be, like, pish-posh, the life that they don't have. While this, on the other case, is people who are very familiar with their environment, and what makes the movie so compelling, in my opinion, is that this really foreign concept is happening somewhere so familiar. And I think that played a really good dynamic into the strength of the story.
Okay. Yeah. No, yeah, so, yeah, and back to answer your question. I really liked it. I think this is, I don't know, the other thing, I haven't seen Parasite in ages, so I don't know if I like it more than Parasite, because I saw that in 2019.
Yeah. Right before COVID.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this, no matter what, it's in the top two. I like it more. Wait, have I only seen 3? Fuck. Okay, I've only seen 3. Oh, no, 4. Unless, wait, is Train to Busan Bong Joon-ho? I kind of think that is.
I don't think so.
Am I wrong? Oh, God, I think I'm wrong. Oh, no, I'm wrong. 1 second. Okay, I'm super wrong. Anyways, yeah, I've only seen 3. The other one was Snowpiercer. But,
Oh, you directed Snowpiercer? You directed Snowpiercer? Oh, then I've seen 3. All right.
Okay, we've seen the same out. Perfect. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I still enjoy watching serial killer type stuff, but this one had a little edge to it. I think it's a combination of, there's a good one. I thought the color palette was so fitting of just like nasty, grody ass pale greens. Was really mixed in with the rural leaves. I mean, some of those shots when like the women are walking through those grass fields were so creepy, just with how the grass was. It was so well shot. And yeah, I think it was not only just a good story about a serial killer. There was several amounts of like dimensions to it that have a lot to think about. And I think one, when you talk about one, was just the mystery of that killer, and like the ending shot of them looking into you, like into the camera, and just this serial killer just being any normal guy. But yeah, I thought that was really good. And then I noticed on your Letterboxd review, there was that the commentary on policing and whatnot. But then it's not all serious. Like, they have like the one cop that just constantly drop kicks. And it's the funniest fucking shit.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. I'd hire that guy.
Yeah. I remember I saw the first one. I was like, wait, why does that look so familiar? They do it like 3 or 4 more times.
Yeah.
That was insane. But it's also a dimension of kind of talking about over policing, and then it just results in no solution. What else did you take from that like policing angle?
Yeah, just continuing, I guess, where you left off. I think it definitely, like, not a primary narrative, but kind of a sub-narrative, if that makes sense, of just police efficiency and different dynamics of different areas. For example, you have the guy coming from the city, right, and he's like way overqualified. He says, yeah, this guy clearly didn't like murder these women, right? And you know, especially the rural cops who, you know, they're a lot less busy than, you know, he normally would, because, you know, a city dynamic, there's more crimes than in rural areas just because of population density. But that being said, there's also less cops in rural areas. So I think that, you know, it showed a really interesting dynamic of how, I guess, problem solving was differently used in different aspects of, you know, hey, who do we want to focus on? Why do we want to focus on them? Because, you know, the rural area, they were like really one-dimensional. They were like, this guy definitely did it. We're basically just going to make him say he did it because he doesn't know any better. And that's going to be that. He's a creep. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
And then you have the guy coming from, you know, the police department, detective agency in the city, and he's going, yeah, so he couldn't have tied these knots. He couldn't have killed these women, and he didn't. And I think that was a really good, you know, sub-narrative, because it remained very while that sub-narrative remained constant through the film, I think that it also, like, it obviously changed, the dynamic changed throughout the film. Because, you know, obviously they're like, okay, so maybe this guy's right. And, you know, throughout the film, they go less and less of he's just a stupid kid, and more like, you know, I mean, we're probably wrong here.
Yeah.
So I really liked that.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting, because they use so many different methods. But one, I mean, there's always violence, but it never gets them anything whatsoever. Of course, yeah. If anything, it's done to a joke, which makes it even greater, because it's not it's not promoting it. It's still critiquing it, but it's used as a really funny joke. And then even the one tactic, the one guy's like, "There's no hair," and then he goes to the bathhouse and like examines every guy's genital parts. It's like, that was so fucking funny. But yeah, no, it's just very interesting. And then we were talking about how they kind of made a lot of the characters one-dimensional, and I noticed someone on a comment said it was like focusing on the deviance. They immediately look to the deviance of society as the cause, because in reality, like in the movie, and it's I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, where you have like the one guy who's mentally handicapped, and they immediately just assume and then bully him into, like, you know, but they don't even bother to ask, or, you know, they're so focused on his deviancy that they don't actually even listen and realize that he was observing the fucking thing. It's like, you guys are detectives. How do you not realize that?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you have the pervert, right, where it's just like, oh, he's pervert. He wears women's underwear. Yeah. Right. And, you know, I mean, there was, like, him, we're in a park, I'm not going to say it, but, like, he does some things out in public, which are, you know, not right. Yeah. And there's a reason to believe, but then they get so focused and they're just, like, torturing him in this interrogation room. Right. But yeah, and then that third guy, I still don't even know if it really was him. I think it probably is.
The guy with the DNA test?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, because, like, the DNA literally said no.
Well, is that inconclusive?
That's true. So, and I mean, he did seem really sus. But, yeah, so, I don't know. But it was just so then for it to wrap around, and then the girl saying, oh, yeah, it could have been, like, just a regular guy. Yeah. So it defeated what their whole form of even investigation in the first place, which is just genius. Yeah. And it didn't even do it on a, you know, bludgeon your head level. Yeah. In terms of that police commentary. And then I think the other kind of sub-narrative...
Keep going, sorry. I just want to check the charge.
Oh, yeah, what is that?
Oh, we're good.
Oh, we're good. I think another interesting sub-narrative that I thought I noticed, and then I saw the internet also say it, so then I was like, okay, is in terms of, like, the story itself, all the victims, right, are women, but then almost all the dudes are, like, men, right? So there's kind of this somewhat commentary on, I don't know, something just with, and especially I first noticed it when they were examining the dead body, that one woman, right? And they were looking at her just, like, naked body, and it's like 5 guys all there, right? And then there's the one woman officer, and they don't really, like, listen to her or take her serious, even though she had the best evidence of the sending the letter for the radio station.
Right.
I don't know, in terms of that just being kind of interesting, where the case was primarily affecting women, right, and their safety, but then the people taking care of it were all men.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. Did you notice that?
Not too much, but I mean, to be fair, I think the reason why I didn't really pay that, I mean, obviously it was obvious, but I didn't really find that, I guess, well, I wouldn't say significant. I didn't pay too much attention to that from the primary plot, just because it's based in like the start of it is based in like 1986 in South Korea. Yeah. And especially in a rural area. I have no idea about South Korean culture. Yeah. I really want to preface that. I have no fucking idea about what the gender dynamics are like. But I know like in the US, in rural areas, normally it's pretty similar. Yeah. Just like demeaning or ignoring, people who are qualified, specifically when they're either people of color or women. It's pretty prevalent. So I just chalked it up to that. Yeah. But there's definitely
there's just a fascinating irony, right? Yeah. The whole time, and it's just like they're so, especially even the guy from Seoul is still kind of has his head over his ass, right? Absolutely. And it's just like, so the way they handled it was just so dumb. Yeah, I don't know what to say there. Those are kind of the big two pillars. I mean, and the story itself is just really good. It's gripping.
It's a murder mystery.
Exactly. And then, so did you watch Zodiac?
I haven't, no.
Okay.
I really want to, but it got taken off Netflix. Oh. So I have to wait to add to my Jake Gyllenhaal list.
I was gonna say that movie was on. I swear Netflix would advertise that movie for years.
It was on there for years, and every time I looked at it, I was like, I'll watch this someday. And then the one day I was actually like, I want to watch Zodiac. Yeah. I searched for it, wasn't there.
Okay, because the reason I brought it up in my review on Letterboxd is that I still like Zodiac, and I haven't seen it in a while. Is that this was still a movie where it's taking a phenomenon from real life or real event, but still displaying it in pretty realistic, what was happening. Yeah. And then still added a bunch of commentary and just made it a good movie in of itself. Where from what I remember on Zodiac, it's still like really well acted and directed, but I don't remember there being additional little dimensions to it like this movie. Okay. Masterfully pulled off.
Yeah, I mean, so correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I haven't seen Zodiac. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and I think that especially after it didn't come into my mind immediately, but after reading your review, I kind of put two and two together. So I mean, like, first of all, I think that the main difference is in Zodiac, they very much so focus. It's not really a focus on the killer, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I haven't seen it, but from what I've heard from other people, it's less of a focus on the killer and more of a focus on the toll it took on the detectives' lives. Yeah. And I think that's probably the main difference between the two films. Yes. Although to an extent, it does definitely occur in Memories of Murder, but I also think that another parallel, and I don't think that this was necessarily a parallel that's like intentional. I just think it's something that happens very often. Obviously with the Zodiac Killer, I'm not sure if they covered this in the movie because I used to do a ton of research on the Zodiac Killer. I was a weird fucking 7th grader. I think that the closest they ever got to catching the Zodiac Killer was when they caught, when one of the victims escaped. Right, the only victim to ever survive the Zodiac Killer. I think. And what happened was there was a false report on what the guy looked like. So they said I think they said it was a person of color, but it was I don't know who the Zodiac Killer was. If I did, I'd be really rich right now. Yeah. But so they saw someone matching the actual description or the sketch, but they had a report saying it looked like someone else. So they'd never even considered them. So they just drove past. Huh. And obviously with this movie, it's a similar concept because it's, hey, I saw this guy, he looks really normal, but they were under a conception that this was someone like you were talking who had just a lot of social deviance. Yeah. So I think that's not necessarily like a parallel between the two films, but just generally something that
Yeah.
unfortunately happens a lot, but I think it's really interesting that in these two really prevalent pieces of media, that's such an important detail.
Yeah, well, and then speaking of which, because, so, after that movie, we were talking about, right, with, like, the Dennis, we literally talked about it, with, like, the Dennis Rader.
Yeah.
And then they found out, like, 20 years later, and then his whole family had, like, the daughter was like, I just live a normal life, so it's just, it's terrifying.
Be crazy, man.
So,
That'd be crazy.
This whole time, you could be killing all Jake Gyllenhaal lookalikes, and I wouldn't know, Isaac.
Who would?
Yeah. So, but yeah, and I honestly, I should say, I mean, my letterbox thing is more of like a joke.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of like the Zodiac and this movie, once again, they're not like mutually exclusive, but maybe for some people, I feel like I know a couple people that didn't really like Zodiac as much, maybe just because it's like a little bit more straight to the point.
Okay.
Where this movie, I think there's a little more creativity in it. So it's not like one way is the way to go. It's it's just another way to talk about serial killers that was really nuanced, at least for me.
I also, again, and it to be fair, like I don't think this is, again, something that was explicitly done, because, obviously with those two movies, I think that you don't know who the killer is, so there's no way to, like, romanticize him. But, like, obviously, with, like, Dahmer and shit like that, all those new series that, like, romanticize the serial killers, I really hate that. Yeah. And obviously what I love about these is they don't even have the ability to do that because there is no visible killer, right? Yeah. But just, like, showing, like, the extent of the horrors of the crimes itself instead of, like, the emotional toll it took on the killer. Yeah. I think that was a really well done and well thought out, I guess, narrative.
No, that's true. Yeah, a lot like the Ted Bundy one.
Yeah. No, do you remember when Zac Efron was Ted Bundy? That was a funny movie.
Yeah. So those are just two very. That's when I'll say this is the better way to do it.
Yeah. No. I mean, I know all about Ted Bundy, and it's Zac Efron, so I was rooting for him in the movie, and then I thought about it after, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's a weird phenomenon we have as human beings, right?
We gotta stop. I can't wait for, like, Leonardo DiCaprio to play. God, I don't even know any serial killers. Some random guy.
Who's the guy that dressed up as the clown?
Oh my God, I would pay so much money to see Leonardo DiCaprio dress up as a clown. I don't even care if he'd be a serial killer. I would pay so much money for that opportunity.
John Wayne Gacy Jr.
Do you think we could get John Mulaney to play him?
John Mulaney to play John Wayne Gacy.
I feel like John Mulaney in clown shoes would do it.
Dude, this guy raped, tortured, and I feel like we should have done a trigger warning. We said rape a gajillion times on this podcast, but it's
a thing that they did. Yeah.
No, I
clearly not endorsing it. Jesus.
No, but that word is so.
No, of course strong. It is. Obviously, it's a strong word, and obviously these are sensitive topics.
This guy
should put like a PG-13 rating in front of this video.
This guy did a bunch of stuff to 33 boys. Isn't that terrifying?
That's terrifying.
And imagine you have.
I don't know how
they
didn't see it coming though.
Yeah, exactly. No. So look at this. Look at that. So, yeah.
Don't hire clowns, guys.
No, but
it is a job that we should probably get rid of as a society.
I will say
they're just jesters with makeup. Just get a jester.
I feel like they still have the clown schools though, right? That's still a thing.
What?
Yeah, you go to. It's like a university thing.
You're joking, right?
I'm not. Wait, hold on. Clown school.
Clown school?
Yeah.
I would pay to watch a reality TV show about. I would pay to watch a reality show based on Clown University.
There's clown school in LA.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The top 10 clown schools in the U.S.
There's more than one?
Yeah, I know there's one. There's a big one in Florida. I swear there was.
That makes less sense. I feel like in Florida it'd be difficult being a clown because your makeup would, like, melt off.
Yeah, that'd be miserable. But
so like living in Florida. No offense if you live in Florida, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I realized I'm glad you suggested it though, because I want to watch more Bong Joon-ho movies. This got me back super interested. I've always liked even like Snowpiercer, which I don't think is. That one's it's a little messy, you know. Yeah, and Harvey Weinstein kind of got his toes in that one.
Yeah.
But even like that, it's still a good movie. I really like it. So, hasn't missed so far.
Yeah, Good Will Hunting was another good movie. Still Harvey Weinstein, but.
Yeah, and there's Dougal.
Is he dead yet?
No.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah. All right. Well, Isaac, what would you give?
One more thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because I forgot to mention it. Because I really liked it.
Yeah.
Although that being said, all right. obviously he's a super creative director, and I love that. And you know, with the ending being like a mini fourth wall break, awesome.
Yeah.
That being said, it's not a dig on the movie. You know, I rated it 5 stars. This didn't take away anything. It's just I'm just too stupid to understand. You know, I really wish there was a way I could have more explicitly known what the ending meant, because I had to like go and read. For those of you who don't know, major spoiler warning. In the end, after the little girl is like, or the little kid, I don't remember, is like, yeah, they just look like a normal person. The detective, was it Park?
Yeah.
Park. Kind of like stares into the camera, you know, and he does the thing that he was doing earlier in the movie where it's like if he just stares at the photos, maybe he'll eventually understand, you know.
Yeah.
And obviously this is not original thought. I had to read this all because I was too stupid to understand. But it's like, you know, looking into the eyes of the audience because the killer is still out there allegedly, right? I don't know if they ever caught him.
No, they did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
hey,
well, because he got messy, and then, you know, I just read an article where the killer, there's a quote where he's like, he's surprised they didn't find him sooner. And then it messed up when he tried, I think he was successful. Yeah. He did his things with his sister-in-law. And so then it's like, dude, you can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's caught, and he's in prison for life.
Okay, cool.
He was supposed to die, and then they changed it, so now he's in there for life.
Yeah, same thing. But okay, but no, I mean, I really like that ending, especially with the whole narrative of it being a normal person. So, you know, like you were saying the other day when we were talking about it, it's kind of like if you were in a movie theater when it came out and that happened and you actually understood, unlike me. If you like looked around, it's kind of like you really don't know who's next to you. And I think that's a really, I mean, it's terrifying. Yeah. It's a really interesting perspective to have. But so I rated it 5 stars. Pretty rare for me. This is like one of my favorite movies of all time right now. I can't rank it, but it was just perfect.
Movie.
It's definitely an Isaac. Yeah. It's like, you know, I mean, you read my review. It's literally the perfect Isaac movie. Yeah. Like everything about it. It's like police just being shitty. It's about rural police being shitty specifically.
Kind of like a mystery sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Great cinematography, acting. There's for me, mandatory subtitles. You know, it was perfect for me. What did you think?
I initially had it at 4, and then I was like, why the fuck? There's something I disliked about it. So then I raised it to 4.5. Okay. And I might raise it to 5. I always try to be so careful with my 5s.
Yeah, me too.
But in a month, if I'm still like, damn, that was a really good. Because right now, if a movie is really, really good, I feel the need to share it and like text like my mom and be like, hey, and that's how I felt with this movie. I was like, you gotta watch it. So probably he's going to be a 5 eventually. So,
that being said, I would just kind of touching a little bit on what you just said with your rating system. Yeah. Because that's a big issue I used to run into, because I would watch a movie, I think See How They Run. I think that's what it was called. That was a movie that like I really liked, and like I was like, well, there's nothing I like disliked about the movie, right? So I got to rate it like really highly. But then I thought about it, it's just like it's, you know, sometimes for me. Sometimes I inflate my ratings a little bit just because I'm like, well, there wasn't anything I explicitly disliked. Yeah. But, you know, sometimes the movie's just not good enough. But yeah, no, big fan.
I always, for mine, it's like 4.5. I say basically perfect movie. Yeah. And then 5 is Hall of Fame. So like that's when it's part of my conscience and my life, and I like constantly refer to it. That's why. So like for this movie, where it's like a serial killer movie, but it might. There's a very fair chance.
It's hard to relate,
for now,
right? Hopefully.
Yeah, most of the time I think if I do 5s, it's because if I've like rewatched it and I'm like, yeah, like that was it with like Perfect Blue, which oh god, I keep referring to that movie. See, that's why that's a 5. It was like at first I was like 4. I was like, I don't know, it was a really good movie. I had a great time, but not sure. And now it's just like I've said it a gajillion times. It's the movie I look to of like how you make a perfect film.
Awesome.
So, okay, before we end it, also I give 4.5. I forgot, we probably should have done this beforehand, but we got a question.
Oh, we did
from Kevin.
Awesome. So, fuck yeah, Kevin, let's go.
So we gotta
Kevin is making the dreams come true today.
No, he's carrying this community. Also, I like to say I find it hilarious that Shanghai Noon is our best performing video.
Is it?
Since Brokeback Mountain. What's it at? I haven't checked. 89 views.
Sick.
So, thank thank you guys for watching Shanghai Noon.
Oh, that's a great one. We got to get the sequel someday.
Yep.
That'll be like our 100th video special.
Yeah, it's the sequel. Okay, so thank you, Kevin, for asking an on-topic.
Well, we'll take what we can get. Yeah.
When it comes to foreign films, are you team sub or team dub?
Sub.
Yeah.
Sub. I never grew up with foreign films, but I mean, generally speaking, I think I started watching anime in 7th grade.
Yeah.
And I watched dub because I didn't know how to read basically. But no, I'm a big fan of just subtitles because obviously I think I'm a big believer that audio is in my opinion, audio is probably the most important aspect of any form of media, and I'm just a big sound guy, and I think that having a dub, it just makes it really difficult because they, at least sometimes they don't just because it's too difficult, but in most markets, you have to specifically track, you have to mouth track and be okay, so I have to say this concept, but I have to phrase it in a certain way with a certain tone, but you have to use their mouth movements because you want to make it look a little seamless, because you could be listening to someone just talk randomly, and if the words aren't aligning with the mouth, it's going to be a little odd, right? So I think that's why I just prefer subs a lot.
Yeah, no, I would say if you're watching dub, grow the fuck up.
Yep.
Learn to read,
yeah,
dumbass. We don't live in 18th century, or the medieval times, right, where it's only the nobles are somewhat literate. It's 2023. Learn how to read. I will say, I think there's one exception when it comes to dub. Ghibli movies have the goated dubs because it used to be, I don't know if it still is anymore, but Disney would help translate or would help distribute Ghibli through for the American market.
That makes sense.
And they would get, and because Ghibli movies have such a high status,
a
lot of these high tier actors will then want to go on to do stuff. So even the early movies, Castle in the Sky, Mark Hamill is voicing the main lead. Or so Howl's Moving Castle, Christian Bale voices Hal.
Really?
So all of them are. It's such. I don't think any of them miss. The only ones that somewhat miss are the shitty movies. Okay. But one of my favorite, at least top 5 voice acting performances of all time is a dub, and it's Michael Keaton as Porco Rosso.
Michael Keaton played Porco Rosso?
And it's literally that. He was born...
Batman played Porco Rosso?
He was born to play Porco Rosso. It's probably one of the best castings. Okay. So, but otherwise, just watch stuff.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
I think that's really it. Isaac, you have any other final thoughts before?
No.
Yep. Watch
Empty
sub.
mind.
Watch sub.
Learn to read.
Learn to read.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Good job, Isaac.